Now that Supernote is transitioning to their X2 series of tablets, I wanted to talk about new features and changes and update my thoughts about the Supernote platform now that I've been a user for about 3 years. If you want to skip to the discussion of the current software and user experience, you can scrub to this timestamp. Otherwise, let's take a closer look at the Supernote A6X2. Side by side with the A6X, it initially doesn't look like there's much of a difference, but they did make some pretty significant changes. First of all, the writing experience with the new Feel-Right 2 film, which has a bit more texture than the older, smoother film. Now before anything else, I want to say that if you're a new owner, I and a few other people on the subreddit have noticed that the film breaks in after a few days of use and feels less toothy or rough than right out of the box. This broken in film is more textured than the old one, but still not a pencil on paper rough, which I really like. It feels more like a very smoother wet gel pen than a pencil, and it has a little less slip than the old film since it has that bit of added texture. The other major change I appreciate is more hidden, is that you can remove the back cover and change the battery, or expand the memory with an SD card. If you're anything like me and will use your gadgets for years as long as they work, and remember the days of indestructible mobile phones with replaceable batteries, this is a game changer because replacing a rundown battery or giving yourself more memory often gets you a few more years out of an old device. In fact, not being able to easily replace the battery is literally on the wiki entry for planned obsolescence, because it limits the usable life of the device to the life of the battery. So it really feels like this is a company that wants you to have their product and use it for years, rather than pressure you into upgrading to the newest shiny unit. On the subreddit, people from Rata have also commented that they'll make specs of the back cover available so you can 3D print your own, and even make magnets that attach to the folio available so people can customize their own covers, just reinforcing that sense of sustainability and support for a healthy DIY community. Of course, there are also some processing improvements. This has double the RAM, which does make some operations snappier than the previous generation, particularly resource-intensive ones like converting handwriting to text. So it's a nice improvement for users who use those features heavily. There are also now 2 slide bars on the device, on the right and the left. This is really useful in combination with the new auto rotate feature and landscape mode, and especially helpful for this size of device since it lets you very easily view PDFs at basically the same size as on a larger screen, just half a page at a time. This leads to one thing I've noticed about the Supernote user experience, and it's that Rata has come through on announced or planned features and rolled these out as software updates to existing users, and plan to continue this approach with the same firmware on the X2 devices and the previous X tablets for as long as they can. In my previous video, I mentioned some features I felt were lacking, and in the time between that one and this one, the company has come through on those features and more. One of the most significant new features they've added is being able to link in notes. So you can actually link your notes to each other, to other documents you're keeping on the device, or to web pages. You can also now use PDFs as templates while keeping links intact. This lets you use all the Supernote notebook features on your PDFs and lets you insert pages into a PDF. Not just blank pages, but whatever template you want. So you can actually manipulate PDFs right on the device. They have added handwriting recognition and search, which I know a lot of people were waiting for. I really appreciate how they implemented it in a way that also works out for people like me who don't use it much. More on that later. Another interesting thing they've added is screen share, which makes it a great tool for collaborating with others. There's also now a specialized app for sketching and drawing that they're working on improving even further. But what's more interesting to me is they didn't just add new features, but have done a really commendable job of refining existing ones. For instance, adding new gestures to make navigation and note-taking even easier, more convenient management of tags or keywords, making the global search function easier to use, allowing you to navigate to favorite folders in the sidebar, not just individual files, even giving you different choices of colors for your headings. These are all things that I really appreciate. To me, this shows a quality I think is vastly underrated when it comes to talking about these tablets. It feels like Rata adds new features and improves their firmware very deliberately, like you're getting a device that is improving in a focused way, that's geared toward improving your note-taking and productivity experience. Now, focus and cohesiveness are kind of abstract, So let me try to give some concrete examples of changes in other tablets that are less so. When the Kindle Scribe came out, one of the major criticisms for using it as a note taker was the lack of organization. So Amazon did add the ability to put in subfolders. But they stuck to just adding that feature in without thinking, hey, if people want to organize, maybe people will want to long press so they can select multiple items, move them in one go, or allow people to have folders with both notes and their PDF planners. Similarly, as much as Boox tablets get almost daily use in our household for using Android apps on e-ink, when it comes to note-taking and productivity, there are certain features that just don't feel as thought through for me. For example, Boox does have its own tag feature and also has star symbols, but there seems to be no way to do a global search for a tag, including in your ebooks and PDFs, and no way to do a global search for these star symbols in your notes and PDFs in one go. These are both features I rely on when using my Supernote because they mirror how I work with real paper. I jot down notes in the margins of books, or in random and commonplace notebooks and planners. I'm looking for a way to find all those things later instead of treating them as separate things. Basically, I think the Supernote platform is very consciously designed to feel like using a notebook, but better. Rather than a tablet, it feels like the best notebook I've ever had. One of those features that makes it more than a notebook replacement is the handwriting recognition. I know a lot of people have been waiting for this feature to even consider this device. You can search your handwritten notes, either one note or all of them, and also convert your text right on the device to save as a text or Word file. My disclaimer here is I don't heavily use handwriting recognition. Not only is my handwriting messy, the way I take handwritten notes does not translate well to typed text, to put it mildly. So I appreciate the option to just take regular notes without the indexing, which uses up less processing power and battery life, and gets me more time between charges. As mentioned, they have added links, which I've talked about more in depth in another video on this channel, and further improve the features I miss the most when on other devices. The ability to quickly navigate to different headings in OneNote, and to access specific pages, documents, or folders from anywhere on the device. They also improved the calendar app. You can jot down things in a monthly or weekly view, and most importantly, you can view all the notes you created on a certain day. This would be pretty useful for meeting or other date-bound notes, since it's an easy way to find your notes later. Reading remains pretty basic. While they've improved zoom in PDF, I would recommend using landscape mode instead of zooming in with pinch to zoom. It's just more convenient. For things like EPUBs, the reader does the job as well. The Kindle app also works just fine, although I find none of these devices are as snappy as the real Kindle. When it comes to the drawing app, I'm not much of an artist, but even I can tell this is a pretty neat little app. It has a bunch of different pencil and pen options and a soft eraser and layers. This could be a nice alternative to keeping a sketchbook on hand. There are definitely some things which I wish they would add to this platform. One of them is to have your last viewed page as a screensaver. Since e-ink only uses power to change an image, you could keep one image on there kind of indefinitely, which would be useful to keep a calendar or to-do list on your desk. Something that I also think would be an easy win is the ability to do straight lines and simple shapes. Since they can already recognize star marks and convert those, this might be a nice way to have an even better note-taking experience. Overall, I think that Supernote has done a great job of not just maintaining their user experience, but improving it in the few years that I've had one. And I'm looking forward to how they're going to make it even better in 2024.